Do I need a pre-qualification letter to put an offer on something, and why should I have it?
You don't have to have one, but yeah, the pre-qualification process is very important. I mean, I've been doing this for 18 years now. Probably a year or two into my career, I decided that before I took people out to see property, I was going to get them pre-qualified. At first, some people, consider it a little bit of an affront because it's like I'm challenging their credit worthiness or whatever. I'm not. This is a much different age right now. Sellers and the listing agents expect you to be pre-qualified. One of the things that we notice too is like one of the worst things I can do for a client is, they say, Eric, I want a $200,000 house, and we go looking at $200,000 houses, and at the end of the day, we find out that you're qualified for 150. Well, that was a big waste of time for you and me, and that was disappointing. But another thing that I find is, with the interest rate so low right now, and people having a decent track record or whatever, they might not, if they're comfortable with $1,200-$1,300, and they can easily afford a $200,000 home, and the $200,000 home might be the only thing that fulfills all the needs that they have. It could be a huge waste of our time to be looking at $150,000 homes where, we're not going to push anybody into anything that's going to put them in a bad situation right now. The banks are very, very restrictive. They're not going to let you overextend yourself like they did maybe 10 years ago. And so it's important that the buyer knows what their potential to buy, capacity to buy is. But then as far as negotiations are concerned, sellers do not want to put themselves in a situation where they're wasting their time. And so if you don't have a letter that says, I'm pre-qualified and I can spend this, then negotiations don't go as well, and the seller doesn't think that you're serious, and the seller doesn't think that you've done any of your homework. So it's just the negotiations aren't taken as well. If a buyer and an agent has a good relationship with the mortgage broker or the lender, if you are making an offer of $175 on a $180,000 house, it doesn't help anybody to say you're pre-qualified for $180,000. You need to have a working relationship with that loan officer and say, give me a letter for $175 because that's what I'm putting my offer in at. It's just good. And you need to know the particular loan program that the person is qualified for too. Chatham County's a USDA zone. So, if you put on your offer that you're not putting down any money, that would make the seller and the agent suspicious. But if you're pre-qualified for a USDA loan, that is 100% financing. So now you become more qualified. It doesn't seem as risky that you said you were putting no money down. Also, VA is a great program or whatever, but sellers know that their house has to be pretty tight and pass a lot of inspections if it's a VA. So it's just good to have all that up in the air and out in the open so people know what's going on. Then the last thing about pre-qualification, we actually have we have an awful lot of cash buyers right now. And so they say, well, I don't need a pre-qualification letter because I'm coming in with cash. A really good agent will have verification of funds. So if they have to liquidate some stocks or if they have the actual liquid assets, so they still need a letter. It doesn't need to say how much they have, but if they have their person that they have helping them with their money and finances, say, Mr. Smith definitely has the ability to buy this property with cash based on what we have. That's very strong as well. So pre-qualification, even if you're cash, is just proof of funds.